Hi there, everybody, and welcome back to the show. Today we are going to talk about waiting on God. And I grabbed the book Strength for Today, a daily devotional written by David Jeremiah, because I hadn't grabbed it in a while. We hadn't used this book as fodder for discussion for a show topic in quite some time, almost a month. And with my recent attendance at the activation tour on Sunday, and some increased mindfulness of spirituality, I wanted to share with you thoughts for today. And that's where we're at on this episode of the All Around Growth Podcast, October 19th, episode number 210, Waiting on God, of a show that provides insight and tools to build the life and homestead of your dreams. My name is Rob Kaiser, and I am your host. Let's get right into it. From Psalm 13, verse 1. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? The digital age, specifically the internet and various messaging methods, has helped shrink the world and eliminate time delays. But when it comes to communicating with God, the digital age hasn't changed anything, except perhaps made us more impatient with God. We are used to getting answers and replies to questions promptly, and we forget that God works on His timetable, not ours. But when an answer or response from God takes time, we are forced to stop, think, consider, evaluate, meditate, contemplate, revise, repent, and most of all, let God be God. God is not impulsive, nor should we be. Not getting immediate answers, if that's how God responds, forces us to be more patient. If you are waiting on God, know there is a reason for His delay. What may seem like a delay on earth may be the fulfillment of a divine purpose in heaven. When I realized this and when I was reading this, I thought to myself, perhaps I've been waiting on God, but I didn't even know it. Sometimes I wonder about where I am on this path called life. And sometimes it's easy to get frustrated about where I'm not. I have a tendency to focus on things that I have not accomplished and oftentimes don't think about things that I have accomplished. And as I reflect back on years past, leading up to this point, and as I reflect back on this podcast, I'm always somewhat reluctant to talk about my thoughts on God, religion, and Christianity specifically. Not so much spirituality, because I think more people are receptive to dialogue about spirituality than they are about God and Christianity. And I'm always somewhat reluctant because that's been a bit of a path of struggle and challenge in my own life. my spiritual journey, if you will. And I didn't set out years ago with the objective to increase or grow my relationship with God. And I didn't realize I was waiting on God. What I wanted to do years ago was get involved in my community. I thought that at that time, and I still do think, that involvement with your community locally, in addition to all of the online communities that we are involved with, is a good thing, and actually more important than all of the online communities that we're involved with, because oftentimes the online communities that we are involved with is and becomes an echo chamber. And when we get involved in person and we actually engage in real life, we see the diversity of people, opinions, ideas, ideology, beliefs, and that is challenging, and it forces us to revisit some of our own. Now, during this process of going about getting involved in my community, I selected two ways to do so, one of which was a volunteer organization, of which there are many, and that was a process in its own right, trying to choose which one to focus most of my time with and on. And the other was trying to find a church, because, like I said, I wasn't necessarily seeking a church or seeking God. But churches seem like places where, generally speaking, people with good hearts, good intentions congregate. And I thought, if I could find a church that had a pastor that seemed okay, and people that seemed okay, based on what my perceptions could be after attending a few services, then maybe I might consider becoming a member and getting involved in some of the traditional feel-good community things that churches do. And I did that. And in the process, a lot of feelings came back to me from childhood. And I looked at all of these experiences through a different lens. And I realized that what my attendance easy for me to say. I realized that my attendance at church services on the regular not only allowed me to build and develop some relationships with people at the church, but it gave me some quiet time to reflect during the service and on my way to and from. And it was worth it. And if you feel as though your life is lacking in some way, shape, or form, and you can't quite identify what's missing, but you've tried a number of things to fill that void, I would encourage you to consider visiting different churches of all different denominations. Hell, maybe even different religions as well. Why not? It depends on where you are and what's available to you in terms of religion. And if that's really not your bag, that's okay. There's a number of fraternal organizations that offer some of the same types of experiences. A lot of those fraternal organizations do volunteer work as well. And there's also a number of just volunteer organizations getting together on the regular for fellowship, book studies at libraries. There's all sorts of things that you can do within your community to have and develop a personal relationship. And I believe that the development of personal relationships with people can oftentimes serve as a springboard to getting to the root cause of the void that we are experiencing in our lives. And that journey can be a long, slow journey. Oftentimes I think about some of the goals, aspirations that I have, what I've been working towards, and the time frame that I've been working on all these things in. And some of it's been over a decade now. Be patient. Be patient with yourself, and be patient with the journey, and be patient with the lack of understanding, or what appears to be a lack of understanding. Be patient, but be consistent with the work. Don't stop showing up. But life happens on life's terms, and if you find at some point in time that you've not been consistent, change. Make the change. You're worth it. Your family's worth it. The people who learn from you are worth it. The message that you have to share is worth it. And that message may change. But the power that we all have to share a message, the power that we all have to influence others in our life, is beyond that which we can even comprehend. But it's in these quiet moments when we find God after all of the time spent waiting. When we're consistent and we show up and we do the work. I personally find that those moments occur with more frequency, and when they occur, I get more clarity on what it is that I'm trying to see. All right, guys, that's about it for today's show. We are still in construction mode at the day job, and I am going to try to navigate how to and where to park again, which lately has seemed like a challenge. I am simply going to encourage you to check out the show notes as always. I will put a link in the notes to the book that I read, which was so kindly given to me by our associate pastor at the church that I am a member of. If Christianity is your thing, I would encourage you to check it out. And if it's not, don't. Check out some of the other books that I've referenced in the past, like 365 Tao. That is a good one. And my attempt at parking here is not going to be successful, so. All right, guys. Links in the show notes. That's also a great way to share the podcast. And at this point in time, I am still working through ways to monetize it and determine best methods of operating for things like Patreon and such. So if you are interested in supporting the show, the best thing that I think at this time would be to share it with a friend, loved one, or on social media in the networks that you are currently active in, for our circles are small, but the change that we are making is great. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.